What is going on, guys, and welcome back to Touchdowns to Home Runs. My name is Bernie. Thank you for joining us today on the Touchdowns to Home Runs show, the March Madness edition. Hope that your day is going absolutely fantastic. We're done half of the first day of this year's March Madness tournament, and it has not disappointed. We didn't have the tournament last year in 2020, but this year sure seems like it is making up for it. We're done the first 8 games, or close to it, of the first day. So right now, we're just going to go through, break down sort of what we've seen so far from each one of the games and sort of just do an overall recap halfway through day 1. Let's get right into it. We had number 7 Florida Gators versus number 10 Virginia Tech to start off the day. First game of the tournament. And this game is always an important one because it's the only game where everybody has a perfect bracket. So with an entertainment sort of idea to it, this is a very, very important game. And one that everybody's really into, and it didn't disappoint. It went to overtime, and I have to admit, it was a much better game than I had originally thought it was going to be. I was originally really skeptical. These are two teams that were not playing some great basketball towards the end of the season, but this was a really close, hard-fought battle all the way throughout. We got a really nice game-tying 3 right near the end of the second half to force the overtime, and then Florida ended up getting it done in the additional time. In terms of Virginia Tech, they played pretty well. They started the game off very well in the first half. Aline led the way with 28 points. He was fantastic today. Shot 8 of 18. And then you also had Radford, who played very well, made some big buckets in order for Virginia Tech to be able to force this into overtime, put up 18 as well. But the real story of the day today, I would say it's 2 players. Colin Castleton, number 1 for sure, and also Trey Mann as well. Castleton, I know so much about him. He used to play on Michigan, transferred to Florida, and he's really stepped up his game. You have to remember, this is a guy who played behind some really, really talented big men, and John Teskey, some other really talented guys that the Michigan Wolverines have. And I think that reflects in sort of the way that he's grown as a player and his ability to put up 19 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 3 blocks. He played really well. And then Trey Mann, 5 of 9 shooting. He played 44 minutes, shot 3 of 6 from 3. So Florida ended up getting the job done, and they will be moving on to the next round. Next up, we have Colgate versus Arkansas, and this was one that I was very, very excited for. And Colgate played really well for the first 30 minutes of this game until about midway through the second half when Arkansas really started to take over. But these are 2 high-powered electric offenses, and for the most part, Colgate didn't disappoint. I was really skeptical in terms of Colgate only playing 5 different teams this year and playing no real out-of-conference schedule, but they look good. Overall, they were shooting the basketball really well in the first half. They let Arkansas get back into it too much in that first half, and I think that was the difference of the game. But again, they shot the 3 ball really well. They did exactly what I thought Colgate was going to do. You look at Arkansas, though, I think that they were just the better team overall defensively. I had that feeling coming into the tournament. And led by today Smith, but you look at how much depth and how many ways they can score the basketball. 4 players today in double-digit scores, and Moody, who I think is possibly their best scorer, was only number 3 today, which I think shows a lot about Arkansas and a really gritty win. I think Burns was the best player on the floor today. He's definitely the most veteran guy that this Colgate team has. Obviously, he was the leading scorer, played fantastic in the game a couple years ago when Colgate was in the tournament against Tennessee, I think it was. But Cummings led the way with 14 points. But with a score of 85-68, Arkansas will be moving on to the next round. Then we had Drexel versus Illinois, the 1 versus 16 matchup. Illinois took that one by a very large margin, by a score of 78-49. Drexel played well, I guess, in the first part of the first half, but this was really all Illinois. You know, Drexel really has nobody who can match up with your guys like Kofi Coburn, Desunmu, and you saw what they did today, Frazier. Illinois is a very deep team, and I know this is only Drexel, but you see what can happen and the upsets that can happen in this March Madness tournament. So this was a very good statement win, hopefully the first of 6 for Illinois fans, and again, just a great statement win to get you started for your tournament. Then we had a pretty good one, actually, in Utah State and Texas Tech. Personally, in my own bracket, unfortunately, I had Utah State with the upset. They weren't able to get it done. Texas Tech took it by a score of 65-53. Utah State played pretty well defensively in the first half. They did a great job of limiting the really good shots and looks that Texas Tech got, and some of their better players were really struggling. but they went into halftime, really figured it out, and had 2 big runs in that second half. Utah State was good defensively, but they let up a bit at the end of the game and beat themselves in what they're usually good at, which is limiting their own turnovers. They had a season high in their own turnovers. I think it was like 19 total. But overall, Texas Tech is a great defensive team, very well coached as well. For them, Mac McClung had 16 points. Edwards had 12. They also had 4 double-digit scores in total, as you can see. And not exactly sure how to pronounce this guy on Utah State, Queta, but he played fantastic today. 13 boards. He was fantastic on the glass, and that shows in the stat sheets. They had 3 double-digit scores, but really struggled, especially from 3. Only shot 4 of 19, and I think that was the difference maker. Then we had Baylor, Hartford. Baylor dominated this game, played really well in the first half, and it was all done after that. If we look at the box score, Maceo Teague, 22 points. Jared Butler, Mitchell as well, both in double digits. Exactly what you expect from Baylor, and a pretty good defensive performance as well. Again, it's just Hartford. Baylor's a tremendous, tremendous team, but you see the upsets that can happen even to these great teams, and we're going to talk about Ohio State in just a second. So another great statement win in the first of 6, hopefully, for Baylor fans. So a great statement win for them. Game of the day, possibly the game of the tournament. 15 Oral Roberts beating number 2 Ohio State by a score of 75-72. And to give us a bit of extra of this phenomenal game, it went to overtime. And you know what? There's one player in this game who is just absolutely sensational, and that's Max Amos, who is fantastic. 29 points, 5 rebounds, and he showed why he is the most talented scorer and the leading scorer in all of Division I basketball. O'Banner was great, led the way with 30 points, 11 boards as well. It was a really fun game to watch. It's a 2-man show for them on offense, but they're really, really fun 2 guys to watch. As for Ohio State, really unfortunate end to the season. You look at the talent that they have and the year that they had in a very competitive Big Ten. E.J. Liddell, Sewing, Dwayne Washington Jr., they're a great team. Didn't get the job done today. Liddell had 23 points. Dwayne Washington Jr., 18 points. But yeah, I'm actually happy that Oral Roberts won this game, not only just because I'm a Michigan fan, but I think this team is just so fun to watch, and I can't wait to see what they do in the second round. Then we had Sister Jean and her Loyola Chicago Ramblers, the number 8 seed, taking on number 9 Georgia Tech. And it's really unfortunate, I think, for Georgia Tech. Obviously, they had Moses Wright out due to pandemic issues, so Loyola took this one by a score of 71-60. And I think that's a difference maker. Georgia Tech was without essentially their best player. Loyola Chicago did what Loyola Chicago does, which is play defense. Obviously held Georgia Tech to only 30% from 3, even though Georgia Tech didn't shoot that bad overall, 57%, sort of didn't get to the line enough. Georgia Tech had a shot, though. They were leading early. Loyola Chicago ended up coming back. I'm really happy for that. I want to see this defensive team move on down the tournament. I love Sister Jean. Obviously, this is a program that has a lot of history as well, making it to the Final Four a couple of years ago as well. And then finally, we're not completely done this game, but it's pretty much all set and done. Number 12, Oregon State Beavers against number 5, Tennessee Volunteers. It looks like Oregon State is going to end up taking it. And I think this was a really interesting one because Oregon State obviously was a bid stealer. And then on the flip side, you have, in my opinion, the most overrated 5 seed in this entire bracket. And unfortunately for Tennessee fans, you guys lose in the first round. But a lot of talented players that Tennessee has. Some NBA guys, some guys going really, really early this year. But Oregon State continues their hot streak. You know, teams that are playing hot at the right time in March Madness usually tend to do good. That's why I'm really waiting to see what Georgetown can do tomorrow against Colorado. But another impressive win for the Beavers in their sort of late season push into this tournament. But if you guys did make it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think of the first 8 games down in the comment section below. And obviously, this is only the start. We have 8 more games today, and then a whole nother lineup of games tomorrow to round out the first round. And we've already had some big upsets, some fantastic games. I can't wait to see what is in store for the rest of the tournament. So make sure you hit that like button if you did enjoy today's video and subscribe to Touchdowns to Home Runs because we're going to be covering March Madness all the way throughout the rest of March. and into April as well. So if you like the March Madness, you want all the coverage, this is the place to be. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. But anyways, guys, if you did make it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.